Lions TV, this is your Thursday Club video. It's been a while, how you been? We're going to look back at the week's news from in and around the club. Plenty's happened, so let's get cracking with today's news. Mason Bennett has signed a new contract at the club. If you've seen my social media posts already, then I do apologise. This is going to be a little bit repetitive. If you haven't, please follow us on all of our social media platforms, especially this one, Instagram. TV Lions, we're on the way to 10,000 followers on there. And as I said many times before, I want to get there as quick as possible so I can do the old swipe up thing. So today, Mason Bennett signed a new contract at the club. And as I said it on social media today, but very, very happy about this decision. A clearly talented footballer with his problems in the past before coming to Millwall. Originally come to Millwall on loan. I thought he'd done all right. He didn't set the world alight. He obviously played wide left and wide right. I always preferred him in a 10, but now I prefer him more than ever where he currently plays, which is as a central striker. Most of the time with Jeb Wallace, sometimes as a lone player up there, and I really like him. Not only has his game changed, but to me, he's up to his fitness and his attitude seems to have changed. That was the only issue I ever had with Bennett, is that he didn't seem fully invested in it. Of course, he can never complete 90 minutes. Football, in general, completing 90 minutes was a massive issue for him. But not only has he sorted out his fitness, but he started to score goals. 6 goals this season from 41 games. 5 of those last 6, as I said, towards the end of the season, as a strike duo partnership with Jeb Wallace. He signs a new contract and I'm backing him to hit double figures next season. Mason Bennett, new contracts at the club. Well played, Benno. So moving on to someone who came with Mason Bennett to the club at the start of the season as a fellow loanee. Of course, he's been a Millwall player before. Scott Malone, the absolute flying left wing back. He divided opinion at our club. He did the first time round. I thought he was a very good player first time round. But when he was coming back this time, people were saying, oh, he was shit the first time. I don't want Scott Malone at our club. He ain't, again, he doesn't seem really invested in playing for the club. You was getting Derby fans saying, good, take him, he's shit. That works out well for them. Nearly relegated on the last day of the season against Sheffield Wednesday. And he had a little bit of an indifferent start. He started the season well. I remember him scoring, I think, the first game of the season, or one of the first games against Crawley in the Cup. Dipped off a little bit. As I said, I think he's a lot better going forward than he is defending. It's not that he's a bad defender, it's just that he's so good going forward. I've said before, and I think the gaffer may be tempted going forward to playing further up the pitch. Score some unbelievable goals. Winner, of course, of our goal of the season with his goal against Sheffield Wednesday at the Den. A brilliant passage of play, 1-2 with Sean Williams, and an absolute Gaza-esque finish. I remember someone at the time saying to me, you've gone over the top of that goal, you've overhyped it. It wasn't as good as you are saying it was. I can't remember who that guy is, but whoever you are, mate, switch off, don't watch football, because it was a minute of brilliance. And it was, I would say, a moment. It was more than a moment, wasn't it? It was a brilliant pattern of play, collected the ball out wide left on the volley, continued his run, bish bang bong, ding dang do. He scores a fantastic goal. It was goal of the season, and he's now joined the club on a free transfer from Derby. The magic words that we love to hear at the club, out of contract. He was out of contract at Derby, so Scott Malone returns for his second permanent spell at the club. And on the back of playing 43 games and scoring 6 goals last season, I can't wait to see him get going again. Let's move on to our second permanent signing of the week. He was actually the first signing in this scenario, but I've gone with the Scott Malone-Bennett connection. Now moving on to a player that hasn't played for the club before. 27-year-old goalkeeper George Long signs on a, surprise, surprise, free transfer from Hull City. Interesting one this, because we never usually say, when we sign anyone at Millwall, how much for, or the length of the contract. It's always undisclosed on a long-term contract or a short-term contract. I hate when people do that. I've done it 3 times now. George Long, 27-year-old, signs on a 2-year deal from Hull. Started his career at Sheffield United, played for England under-21s, and he's been a bit of a stop-start career, and Rowett sort of alluded to that without saying it directly. Come through the youth system, as I said, at Sheffield United. Moved to Hull in 2018. He spent 3 years at Hull, playing 57 games. And Rowett said in the week in the press that, of course, with Frank Fielding leaving the club, there was only a very small handful, a small window of goalkeepers that they were interested in to come into the club and compete as direct competition for, of course, our back-to-back double. I know that feels to be a back-to-back double winner, by the way, content-wise, but it's not about me. This is about George Long. Comes in and his competition now for Barkowski. Player of the season last season, player of the season before. And I'm sure Bart, now his agent as well, will welcome that competition with open arms. I think it could be a case of you could see George progress into Bart's shirt. Maybe not this season, but definitely the season after. Learn what he can off the big man next time round in 21-22 and it could be his slot the following season. But in my book, a good signing, English goalkeeper, 27-year-old, previous experience in the division. George Long signs for 2 years on a free transfer from Hull City. And finally, this was going to be, for me, a completely separate video. But a lot of other stuff's happened, so I thought, let's just cram it all into one. I'm a busy man these days. Busy. Okay, so the video I was going to call, the title of it was going to be called, what is a 20-goal-a-season striker? Because we've had this debate many times. I've seen you all have it online. I've seen us have it constantly on the Lions TV, WhatsApp group chat. What is a 20-division goal striker in this championship times? Difficult one, because when I look back, I thought, okay, when was the last time we ever had a 20-goal-a-season striker? And that's probably Lee Gregory, wasn't it? The year we got promoted. I think he scored 31 league goals. Or actually, I don't think we got promoted that year. I think it was the following year. Anyway, that's pretty irrelevant because I don't remember us ever having one in the championship. I'm trying to think back to further times. I may have killed myself. 20 goals a season in the championship. Have we ever had that? Well, I'm thinking back to Tenny Sheringham. It's the only time, and Cascarino, of course, in the same division. But then when we went down, I think it nearly went back up in 91, 92, Sheringham scored something ridiculous, like 38 league goals. So that was in the championship, what would now be the championship in this day and age. So I'm not sure if we've ever had that. Could we ever have a 20-goal-a-season striker in the championship, being the size and the structure and the wage budgets and the transfer fees that we don't like to pay, free transfers left, right and central, and loans as well. So could we ever have a 20-goal-a-season striker? I think, if I'm honest, that's a little bit out of our reach. If we do have a 20-goal-a-season striker, we're going to be competing at the top end of the table. And I think, for now, that could be a little bit above our station. I'm going to point back to some other players, of course, down the years. Steve Morrison, £130,000 from Stevenage Borough. Lee Gregory, £250,000 signed from Halifax Town. Both non-league gems. Now, this is my opinion. You're not going to get a Lee Gregory or a Steve Morrison in this day and age for a few reasons. Firstly, I think social media has played a massive part in that. Because in this day and age with social media, there's a lot more players putting themselves out there on a lot more platforms, and a lot more people may know about this obscure striker who's scoring, 30 goals a season, 40 goals a season up north in the Castle Tyne Division 7 or whatever they call it up there. The other reason is a lot of lower league teams, non-league teams, national league sides, they're now full-time as well. So I don't think you're ever going to get a non-league gem. I don't think you're going to get that unless you're willing to pay over the odds. But as we've seen many times before, if we are prepared to do the business and take that punt, you get someone coming in from a different club, a bigger club with more money, and they just gazump us. So for me, that is out the window. Another option is if you go to League One or League Two. I think now if you're looking to sign a 30-goal-a-season striker, you needn't be scoring 30 in League One or League Two if he's going to score 20 in the Championship. I think that's going to cost you anywhere in the region of £3 to £5 million. So I don't think that's feasible. I don't think we're going to do that, and I don't think... Would the club take the risk on a League One player? Of course, Charlie White's being spouted about. Didn't go up with Sunderland now. I'm going to be a free agent. But again, I think that then falls into the bracket of he's probably going to go and join a different club a little bit closer to Sunderland, a little bit closer to being up north, because I don't think he's ever been down south in his career. But getting back to what I'm saying, there's two ways you're going to get a 20-goal season striker. One, you're going to pay £3 to £5 million from a League One or a League Two club and take a punt on one of them. Or you've got to try and find the non-league gem, which is very difficult in this day and age for the many reasons that I've stated previously. So, there's one other option. What do you do if you need something and you can't afford to buy it? You grow it yourself. Of course, I'm talking about Isaac TANTO Olafe. If you're wondering why they call him TANTO, well, his full name is in there somewhere. Go on his Wikipedia page and I will challenge any man, woman or child to pronounce his full name. Isaac TANTO Olafe, of course, went on loan to St Johnstone with Danny McNamara. He's 22 years old in November, so... I'm not going to say he's no spring chicken. Of course, he's got his whole career ahead of him. But I myself, and I know a few others, strong believer that if you're not where you need to be in the first team by 22, 23, then you should be looking elsewhere. Of course, there's exceptions to that rule. Lee Gregory was a late starter. Another player that come from the same club as Lee Gregory, Halifax, Jamie Vardy, late starter, pushed on later on in his career. What I'm saying is this. Danny McNamara and Isaac TANTO Olafe went to St Johnstone. Callum Davison took him there. Callum Davison, as we know, is no mug. Been up in Scotland about 10 minutes, won 2 titles already. So he knew a good player. It didn't work out for Tanto for whatever reason. I don't know if he don't like haggis or he don't like the cold weather, but he comes straight back down south and I thought, Well, that's him fucked. But it wasn't. He went on loan to Sutton, who are in the National League. Sorry, did I say are in the National League? Should have said were in the National League. Isaac Alafe has scored 16 goals in 36 games, including one in their 3-0 win last week, which saw Sutton promoted to League football for their first time in 123-year history. So now TANTO has come back to the club. He could be a League 2 player next season with Sutton. I'm sure they'd love to have him back. He's been their main man, their talisman. He's fast, he's pacey, he's direct with his running, and he can clearly finish. 16 goals. For me, he absolutely has to come into our first team. At least give him the pre-season and see where we go with it. Because 1, he's a good player. 2, he scores goals. And as I said, you know, we predominantly are a club with no money. So we need to grow this homegrown talent. I'll back Callum Davison to the hill, by the way. If Callum Davison saw the player in there, it was Danny McNamara. There's obviously a player in there with TANTO, and TANTO has now proved that. I'd love to see him come into the first team with Danny Mack, with Billy Mitchell, and with Hayden Muller this year, and that gives us a lovely core of players, which, if you went out, if they all had one good season next season, Billy, of course, and Danny have already had one, add those two to that mix, and all 4 of them have a good season next season, you're looking at about £10 million worth of talent that we can't afford to buy. So Isaac, TANTO, Alafe, as I said, if you can't afford something, grow it yourself. Get him in the first team next season and see how he goes. So that's your lot for this Thursday club. I do not know when I'm going to see you again, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be back throughout the summer with transfer updates, any news that's gone on, and of course, Free Lions TV will return because I'll be live streaming for the Euros. Enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, and your summer. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.